My name is Ben Hummerding. I'm a technology innovationist at St. Norbert College. And here's a couple more facts here about me. So this talk is a little bit about how I came into that title, because I didn't start with that title 3 years ago at St. Norbert College. But I've been using G Suite for about 10 years in teaching. So I taught for a while, and then I've also helped integrate that into teaching and learning at both in the K-12 level and in higher ed. And so this is a story about how my job role kind of changed at St. Norbert College. Little background. We are pretty small. We are a residential liberal arts college, about 2,300 students, 120 faculty, and we have about 375 full-time workers. And of those, about 175 of those are like service workers who pretty much never use a computer for anything at all. And those numbers will come into play a little bit later on, so that's why I'm giving them to you now. So my original job when I came to St. Norbert College was to be an instructional technologist. And that just meant I was focused on helping faculty become more efficient and effective with using technology in their classrooms. For me, that was using Google. I had come from K-12 where you have to use whatever we were given, right? But Google was amazing. It was transformative in how we were using it at my school. And I was excited to get that going in higher ed as well. I don't know how many of you guys know anything about higher ed in terms of faculty. Are there any faculty members here? Good, I won't offend anybody then, this is good. So faculty members in higher ed don't actually have to pretty much do anything you tell them. The president of the college can actually come and say, hey, I need you to do this, Fred. And Fred can say, no, I don't want to do that, and that's okay. So for us to make change in areas like G Suite, this change that we made, it was going to be very rough. It was going to be difficult. And I knew that going in, but it's okay because I was excited. I figured, my enthusiasm was going to get people to change. So I was an excited new guy, and I was hoping that people like Drew here were going to be teaching with technology constantly, and the students were going to be bringing laptops and doing all kinds of crazy things in the classroom. That's what I was expecting. I took the time to plan a bunch of trainings that I thought were really amazing. I thought so, at least. We emailed the faculty and staff, told them about them. This is when they are. Come and check this stuff out. And we even bought treats, because that's important. If you have food, usually people show up. How many people here have ever had to give trainings for at their institution, like wherever, your business, whatever? Okay. So maybe you'll feel me here on this. I changed from the excited new guy to the sad new guy because this is kind of what I got. Really low attendance. People didn't want to come. They didn't want to learn something new. They didn't have time. There was just no time in their schedule to do that. And they didn't see the value. And that was the most important piece. So that was kind of rough for me. So I was excited, and all of a sudden, the carpet just got pulled out right from underneath me. About that same time, we got a new CIO. His name is Lee. He's going to hate that I'm mentioning him in this talk because he doesn't like to be mentioned in anything. But I'm going to mention him anyway. He came from IBM. And at first, we were kind of concerned in our academic technology area, how is this person from IBM going to understand anything about how a college works? Turns out, he had some pretty good ideas. And one of them was, don't spend time beating on a wall hoping to change it into a door. If we were going to run into people constantly who were going to, I don't want to try this, I don't want to try this, and you weren't going to be able to force them to do that, like you can in some other businesses, you can just say, hey, we're not using Microsoft today. On Monday, we're using Google, right? And then people kind of have to adjust in a different way. We can't do that on our campus. And so we had to come up with a different way to do those things. One of the things he talks about is, I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but the technology adoption life cycle. How many people have seen that before? Okay. So I'm in the first category, and the people who work in my department are in the first category. We try literally everything. We think anything new is amazing, right? We're like, ooh, that's cool, let's try it. And we have some faculty members and some staff who feel the same way. But then you move to these early adopter people. And some of them will come along with the innovators when they see cool things happening. But there's a gap after that. There's a little bit like, I don't know if I want to go. Do I really want to make this switch? And Lee basically said, we need to create a bridge for these people. And over time, if that bridge remains there, when they're ready to move, the early majority can come along. We want to make that as quick as possible and as easy as possible. But if that bridge remains there, even when we get back here to these laggards who are really difficult to move, they'll have a bridge. They can come when they're ready to come. Okay? So I want you to think about this for a second with change. Think about the first car you ever owned, and if you live in New York or San Francisco, we have cars in Green Bay. Like, that's how we get around, okay? But think about when you were of age of getting a car, like a cool car, when you were 16 or whatever the driving age is. For me, my first car was a 1985 Ford pickup. And it had a steering wheel, right? I could shift it. I could do all the things I needed to do. It was great. It got me from where I needed to go. Now I want you to think a little bit about the last car you bought or the Uber you took yesterday. Like, what does that car look like? And there's a lot of new technology in these vehicles. We're buying a new car this weekend. I'm really excited about it. It's got adaptive cruise. I can use Android Auto or CarPlay in it. It's amazing. It's got all these great features. And car manufacturers do a pretty good job of not changing things too fast so that people can kind of make that change really, really easily. But going to Google is a little bit like this. Here's a car that doesn't have a steering wheel. And when people first see Google, it's like, well, this is so much simpler. Like, I don't have all these tools. All the things I'm used to, they're not there. There's no steering wheel in this car. How can I even use that? And you might start saying, well, it can do the same things as Microsoft or whatever tool. It does the same things. But if it only does the same things, why would they change? There's too much overhead and learning into why would I move to this other tool if there's no benefit in it. So what you have to do is start showing people what the benefit is. The benefit of a car with no steering wheel is I don't have to pay attention. I can do other stuff. I can have conversations. I can collaborate with riders. I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do if I have to pay attention on the road. And hopefully, it's also safer. Google has since put a steering wheel back into their cars, which is fine, but it's for comfort a little bit, right? So if we go back to Lee, we all came together to kind of come up with a mission for technology services at St. Norbert College, and it's easy to learn and fun to use. And we want to try to roll out only things that are easy to learn and fun to use. And once we started talking about that, I was like, man, I can evangelize that mission. I can do that. Because Google is easy to learn, and it is fun to use if you know what's going on. So that's what we did. Step one in that, you have to forget laggards. You can't bring them along. If they're just going to drag you down, and you're going to spend all your time trying to convince somebody who's never going to move. So you have to forget about them. Eventually, there's going to be a critical mass where everybody's doing what needs to be happening, and they're going to come along with you. Okay, so forget them. For now. But if they come and want help, that's when you jump on. They're asking for help, then you help them. The next part is going beyond your borders. So for me as a trainer, if I only live in ITS and I never get out of that, I don't see what people are doing, I can't help them solve problems, I was never going to get them to convert. So what I would do is I would go to departments and I would say, hey, what are you guys doing right now? What are some things that you're working on? And they would say, well, we're doing this and this. And then I would say, well, what are some problems with that? Oh, well, we can't collaborate, or there's a workflow issue. And then I would work with them to solve that problem, one case at a time. And that might seem small, but literally the next day I would get an email. Hey, I heard you helped so-and-so in this department do this thing. Can you help our department do that same thing? So going beyond your borders and finding out what the problems are, where people are actually at, is really important. Then you have to kind of choose wisely. You want to choose people who are gonna work with you and be kind of sort of like a puppy dog. In the beginning, they're gonna go along with you. You don't want to choose the attack dog where if something goes wrong, they're gonna bark to everybody about it, and now all that goodwill that you've kind of fostered is lost. So you have to choose really carefully about the departments and people you want to partner with in the beginning. Then we can start looking at what are some of the things that we did early on. And the first one is really super obvious. We have documents that are out of date, whether they're spreadsheets or Google Docs, completely out of date. You've got multiple copies. Nobody knows which copy is which. Well, Google is like, that was what Google was built for. So that was a really easy switch for us. hey, just use a Google Doc and learn how to share it properly with the right people. And once they learned how to do that, they were like, oh, wow, you're right, Microsoft can't do that, or whatever tool. And that was very helpful. The next problem we helped people with was ownership. And so on our campus, one of the things that happens, and this happens too with people coming and going all the time, but on our campus, we have a ton of student workers who are working in departments, and then they graduate, and it was like, well, if we use Google, who owns that stuff? They're gone. What's happening with that? So we worked really hard before Team Drives came out to create a way for students to change ownership to, in this case, it was department level email addresses. So we basically created our own Team Drives before Team Drives actually existed. And now we just use Team Drives. So ownership was a big deal, but that got people to feel more comfortable about, okay, I understand how this process works. And once a couple of people did that at the department level, everybody else wanted to do it too. Then we had these I will call them work non-flows, because that's kind of what they are. You have Word docs, you have PDFs. Again, people are filling out something, they're giving it to somebody else, and it gets lost, or they're handwriting it when it should be digital, and there's just no good way to work through these workflows. So what we did is we used a new product from Google called App Maker, and it is amazing. So you should definitely look at this at your organization. It's super fantastic. And we've created about 6 different applications, many of which do workflows for people, and it's familiar, it's secure, and it's solved the problem where people couldn't solve these problems at all with other products we had, or if they wanted to, it was going to cost them thousands upon thousands of dollars. So we were saving a lot of money by doing some of these things too. So this was sort of the aha moment at this point. This was us in ITS. We were like, wait a minute, what? Staff wants training? People were coming to us and saying, hey, you know what would be great is if you guys put together a training on this Google stuff. We would love to go to that. I have been working in education for pretty close to 20 years now. I've never heard that before. Not one time did somebody say, could you put a training together for us to all come to? So we were pretty excited about that. But the important part here is we partnered with staff to create their training. So we went to them and said, what is it you want to be trained on? We used Google Forms, that kind of stuff. But then we also went to the best people are your administrative assistants. They know what everybody's using and different things that need to be trained on. So we went to them, partnered with them, came up with a great training. We chose a really convenient time of year for us. For us, it's winter and summer, but winter is probably best because our students are mostly gone during that time, and so staff have more time. And then we also partnered with our campus leadership. So that would be our human resources to get the word out about this. And then also with our different VPs to push, like, this professional development is going to help you, and we want you to go. We're not going to force you to go. Because the last part about this was it was voluntary. And this will come into play in a little bit when I show you some interesting numbers here. But this was voluntary. Nobody had to go. Out of that came our first 2 full-day trainings. And remember when we went back to 375 employees, but 175 of those are people who would really never use a computer? We had 140 voluntary people come to our training. That's a huge percentage. So it's about 70% of our staff. And our training data said we got a 4.5-star rating basically out of that. That's pretty awesome. People were really excited about what we did. So here's a couple things. I'll let you guys read these, see what you think. Give you time to take images. I think this one's really important because it's a quick snapshot of things I have never seen before. We are experts in these tools. We use them every day, and we take that for granted a lot of times about all the cool stuff you can do. And if nobody knows you can do these things, then they don't see the benefit in it. And that is really, really important. We also spend a lot of time to try, in our trainings, to give people time to actually play around with what we're doing. We try to create trainings that are around creating a budget with Google Sheets, and we actually create a budget with Google Sheets with the trainees. So when they walk out, they've got that to take with them and play with or use immediately after the training's done. And that is important. Hands-on training is really important. That's how everybody learns. People can say, I learned by watching a video, but what they're really doing is watching a video and then doing that thing. So that's important to remember. The other thing that was really kind of a game changer for us at St. Norbert College is that we created something called a tech bar. And the tech bar is a place for students, faculty, and staff to come and learn any digital literacy. That might mean they want to learn how to create a website. So they can come in and learn how to set up a WordPress domain, their own domain, and completely control their own website. They can come in and learn anything about Google tools, Microsoft, because we still have that on our campus, or anything that's in the realm of digital literacies. They can make an appointment and come in, and then all of our trainings come out of Tech Bar. And we have students who actually run the Tech Bar during the year. It's pretty amazing. I recommend that in any way, shape, or form you can create a Tech Bar at your organization, you should do it. So impact. From February to June, which is like the last 3 months, 2.5 months of our school year, I polled all our ITS people. I said, how many Google Docs do you think we created in the 3-month period? I got everything from about 5,000, which was somebody who didn't work for us, which I thought was interesting. So 50,000 all the way up to about 800,000. We had over 1 million Google Docs created during that time. That's a lot of stuff. And some of these things are probably linked. There's probably sheets that we're creating Google Docs, right? You can link those things together, but that was mind-opening for us to see how much we were really using our Google tools and Google Drive, Sheets, Docs, Slides. So my takeaways for you. You need to go beyond your borders. You need to get outside of ITS sometimes and go to where people are and help them with their specific problems. They become evangelists for you and advocates, and then the word starts to spread. I really can't recommend enough starting your own tech bar. It's a place where anybody can gain digital skills, and you might say, well, how does that help us in our business? Anytime people gain skills, they might be able to shift into a new position that you didn't even imagine that they could do before. It helps your business. So having this open for people to learn skills that may or may not apply directly to their job actually is a pretty good thing. And then you need to have an evangelist or 2 or 3 or 4. But these are people who have to really understand the tools and also understand how they can fit into your organization and make things more efficient and effective. So that's kind of like what I do. And with that, I am going to pass it over to my friend Sergey for the second part of the talk. Here you go.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sergey Fuchsman, and I am the Deputy CIO of PIK Group. I will share with you our experience of a big company that decided to move to G Suite. First of all, let me introduce our company to you. PIK Group is the largest real estate developer in Russia. Our company was founded in 1994, and we've built 205 million square feet of living space since then. We have 300,000 customers, and it is like to sell our apartment to each citizen of Iceland. PIK Group has presence in 10 provinces in Russia, and we have 70 active real estate projects right now. As you can see, PIK Group is a really large company in a very conservative business, construction. But our company don't want to be an enterprise one. We prefer to act like a startup. Be fast, be flexible, be open to everything new. And that is why one time we decided that we need to change all tools we have inside our office. A bit more information about our structure. PIK Group is not a single company, but a holding of 280 companies. We have 190 offices and construction sites in 17 different Russian cities. We employ 14,000 people, half of whom are office workers with computers, with corporate accounts, and all that stuff. Moreover, we have 11,000 outsourcing companies. It is not our companies, but they help us to build our living complexes and provide them to our customers. PIK Group covers all vertical markets of real estate business. I mean, we plan our projects, we design our projects, manufacture everything we need to build it, doing construction itself, sell it with our own department of sales. And of course, we have a main office, back office, that maintains these processes. Um, it brings us to the moment that we have all problems usually all big companies have. Um, First of all, it is lots of documents. As you can imagine, each department has to communicate with other departments, with other companies inside holding, with lots of outsourcers. These communications generates a lot of files in different versions. I think you know that it is very hard to manage it, to control it, and it is usually impossible to find the correct version of the document if you need it right now. You have to use a lot of tools. You have to use editor to open file. You have to use email client or messenger to discuss anything with authors of these documents. And it is very inconvenient, so it is much better to gather a meeting. But in our company, to make any project decision, you have to discuss with the project team. It is a project manager, engineers, designers, economists, sales, and a lot of people, maybe even outsourcers. And they work in different offices, maybe on site, maybe in different cities. So each meeting is very time-consuming and very expensive for our company. After looking on a market of IT products, we decided that we are moving to G Suite. We started this project in the October of 2017, last year, and we gained a lot of, I hope, useful information. And I will show you the core decision that made our migration project successful. First of all, users don't want changes because habits are very strong. And you should find right benefits to each group of users. Everyone has some dull processes in their work, and you can solve it. And if you do it, you will instantly convert these users to ambassadors of new technology inside your company. For example, we have a price control unit. They struggled because they have to find a lot of mistakes or just strange things in a huge spreadsheets. Then they should contact the authors and try to talk over everything strange moments. But when we showed them inline commenting feature that exists in Google Sheets and in Google Docs, they were really excited and they became an ambassadors. They worked with us. They was on our side because they trying to convert everyone around them to work with Google Sheets because it simplifies their work. On the other hand, we have lots of staff who works on site but has to visit office, or who works in the office but has to visit construction sites. They really love the feature of having all files, all mails, all chats on every device they own. The second very important thing we understood is that we have to share all information we have with every department, with each company, with everyone. So we made a lot of educational processes, used a lot of educational tools inside our company, both online and offline. We made seminars and webinars, wrote a lot of articles on our intranet, posted to our corporate Telegram channels, and did a lot of tests. And it is very important, was very important for us, because our users could compete in public ratings according to the test results and could earn badges in our intranet. It really motivated them, and this transparency was very useful for our migration. Very important thing for a big company, for a large company, is to choose the right pace. If the migration project was too fast, we would get us in a real hell where every process existing in our office was disrupted. But if the project was too slow, it would get bogged down. Everyone could think that it is not important for company and that he or she have a lot of other things to do, not to change their software. So we've chosen a very steady pace. We implemented a product by product, in a department by department, in a company by company. We started with a completely new products, Hangouts Chat and Hangouts Meet. It was very easy. It doesn't change anything. Didn't change anything. But it gained us a lot of users who became familiar with Google interfaces. Then, on second step, we decided to change all basic tools, mail, calendar, and file sharing services. After migrating to Gmail, Google Calendar, and Google Drive, we've got a lot of users who became familiar with new interfaces, with new features, and started to try new tools like docs, sheets, and slides that are most unusual. And only after that, we became to work with the most unusual, with the most hard software for our users and these editors. But it wasn't enough for us, this separation, and we did it department by department. Started with the most interested one. Because when you start with the most interested, you gain a group of new ambassadors inside your company, and you save a lot of time for yourself, for your project team, to prepare educational materials, and to get ready to migrate other departments who don't want changes at all. Our duty as an IT department is to make work of our employees easier. And we used all functions and all APIs of G Suite, and it let us automate work in some departments in a particular new way. For example, we made an application, Task Composer. It allows our project teams, real estate project teams, to compose tasks for tender procedures. It integrates our master data system with Google Sheets and reduces all copy-paste between systems that existed in our company before. Another example is a price calculator. It was a prototype in a Google Sheet. It was a sequence of Google Sheets integrated with app scripts, app maker right now, and it calculated all prices of finishing works inside each apartment of our houses, and finally generated a lot of required documents like budgets and all that stuff. This tool provided a real-time collaboration between 4 departments and one outsourcing company who making these finishing works. But we don't use only G Suite. Google has another set of products, Google Cloud Platform, in their tools for business. And our IT department found it very useful for us. And we were really excited to use all APIs. And now we are migrating our self-developed applications to cloud infrastructure. And a very important thing for us that we don't want to stop on a PIK Group. As I said before, we have 11,000 outsourcers that help us to build our houses. It is our contractors and our suppliers. And we believe that if they will work in the same infrastructure as we, if they will have the same benefits our employees have, it will be very useful for the whole construction process. And that is why our subsidiary PIK Digital has become a Google partner to share all these benefits we got from Google with our contractors and suppliers. What we have right now, after 10-month project, each office employee in a PIK Group uses G Suite. Each company inside PIK Group Holding has migrated to completely new software infrastructure. Only this year, we wrote 21 million emails in Google Mail. We've shared almost 6 million files with Google Drive. Our employees have more than 6,000 audio and video conferences using Hangouts. Just imagine how much time and money it saved compared to regular offline meetings. It is very easy to repeat our success if you will take all actions I mentioned before. First of all, don't be afraid. Even if you're a very large company, if you're an enterprise company, if you're slow, don't be afraid. If you choose the right pace, if you use the right methods, everything is possible. You can make this migration in a very fast way for companies of such size. You should understand that habits are very strong, but you have to have users on your side. You should convert them to ambassadors of new technology inside your company. Try to solve the most dull processes with features that already exist in new product, and they will become ambassadors. Don't forget about education. It is very important to provide users all information you have. Moreover, it is very important to make this educational process transparent and the whole process of your project. Try to share status in real time. Try to make users compete with each other and to fast them into this process. Don't forget about making work easier. All modern technology provide a lot of great tools for integration. Use them, create new application, and you will gain more ambassadors inside your company. And try to distribute benefits in the whole network of your suppliers or your contractors, because working in even infrastructure is more useful than working in a different software with different companies. That's all for me. Thank you for listening. Ben?
All right. Well, I would like to thank you very much for coming today, and thank Google for having us come and present. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.